We obviously never spoke after October 7th because he told me to die in Gaza. If you've seen anything on my page for the last 2 years, there's not been one shred of evidence that I'm a chef. It's just dead people, murdered people, babies, burning. My family, before these all came about, never wrote anything down. These are sort of in every library globally. They're in hundreds of thousands of people's homes, which means a lot to me. But how can we talk about food and show our culture in that beautiful way when, like you just said, people are starving? People think it just happened overnight. That was in the 30s. And they were writing these books because they were preparing people, because they knew they were coming. They knew what they were going to do. Why would you write these things? They could have just met their neighbors and become friends with them and learn how to cook like we all do. Just micro movements, but now they just amplified it. And it had to happen. And it should never have, because these people did not deserve to die like this. They did nobody, not even them. They don't deserve to die like this. We know this is not about hostages. You know this, I know this, the whole world knows this. And if people get upset, they get upset. We're not here to hold everybody's hand. We are barely keeping ourselves together. You know, you ask me, how are you? I'm not all right. I'm crying all the time. I'm screaming into pillows, erratic. I've lost so much weight. I can't eat. I have acid reflux. I'm stressed. My heart is thumping. We're not even there. And, you know, I think the way that we've been portrayed is that we're like a thorn in the side of Israel and the Western world, when in fact we are the rose and they are the thorn, and people are starting to realize that.
Today, I'm joined by Joudie Kalla, a British-Palestinian chef and activist. She's the author of Palestine on a Plate and Baladi, and a powerful advocate for her people. Through her food and her words, Joudie has helped carry the story of Palestine into kitchens and communities around the world, showing how food can be both preservation and resistance. But she's also been a fearless voice for justice, speaking out about the genocide in Gaza, about the UK's complicity, and about the duty of all of us to refuse silence. Joudie, I can guess the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How are you?
Not good. Not good at all. I think, like most people on this earth who have a soul and a conscience, we're not doing well. And I don't know how we're ever going to be. I say the same. I don't want to be the same, but how we're ever going to be okay again after what we've just seen for the last 2 years.
You're known as a passionate chef, a food lover. That's how I first came to know you. And I remember one of the first things that you said to me the first time we met is that food is a way to tell the Palestinian story, especially when the world's trying to erase it or when Israel's trying to erase it. How has your relationship with food and storytelling shifted during this genocide? I mean, in Gaza today, you know, starvation itself is being used as a weapon of war. And as someone who has, dedicated so much of her life to celebrating Palestinian food, how do you even begin to process that reality?
You don't. I mean, if you've seen anything on my page for the last 2 years, there's not been one shred of evidence that I'm a chef. It's just dead people, murdered people, babies, burning, women, men, and children. That part is sort of put on the sidelines, even though it shouldn't be, because it's still so vital, so important. But how can we talk about food and show our culture in that beautiful way when, like you just said, people are starving, being forced to starve to death? It's not man-made. It is man-made, actually. It's man-made by Israel. I mean, it's not a natural disaster. It's something that is mind-blowing, that in this time in our lives in 2025, the globe is just watching this happen. And of course, I want to talk about what we're about, and our food is a huge part, because I know Israel is trying to do anything it can to eradicate us, erase us, take over, steal, whatever words you want to use, our identity. And part of that is a huge part of that is our food. But I think more importantly, we have to talk about the food insecurity and be very conscious of that, and not post and talk and share about these things, because people are literally watching us. They're watching us and begging us not to share because they're starving. So there's another way, and the way is doing activist work and talking and sharing and exposing what's happening, which I'm very, very happy to be, not happy is the wrong word. I'm very, very privileged to be part of. And that's my main focus right now. And food can come back later, but we need to save our people. I don't know if we are, but we're making people notice. And that's a step closer for me.
Yeah. I mean, you've published two books, cookbooks, Palestine on a Plate and Baladi, and they've both sort of introduced Palestinian flavors and heritage to a global audience, and they're on so many shelves around the world, including mine, and I'm Palestinian. But when you look back at those books now and you look at them, how do they feel to you in light of everything?
They're so important to me. I mean, they were so important when I was writing them because of all the things we've discussed already. But they just mean more now because of what's going on. There's more evidence that we were there. These are sort of in every library globally. They're in hundreds of thousands of people's homes, which means a lot to me, not just Palestinian, but from all over the world. And it's a record that people have, because I don't know about you, but my family, before these all came about, never wrote anything down. It's just word of mouth and passed down from my sitto and to come
More oral, oral transmission.
and having a good memory. I don't think anyone really considered getting old and dementia and losing um, recipes, but it means so much more to me now that I have stacks and stacks of them. It's my pride and joy, and I'm, like I said before, I'm privileged. I'm honored that I was able to do that, and to be one of the first to have them out there was a really heart opening moment for me, because it was with such a pushback that nobody wanted our voices and our name to be on the front cover. Um, and it makes me sad that we have to come to these points where we have to record it, not for fun and not because the recipes are delicious, but because of the theft um, that is taking place in front of our eyes everywhere we go, every country. These Middle Eastern restaurants, say Middle Eastern, they're not, they're Israeli. And I've never seen a people so desperate to run from who they are and try to be something that they're never going to be. You can dress and behave and speak and act in a certain way, but your roots don't belong there, and ours do. And I think these books reinforce that. It's not just the recipes, right? Before every recipe, there's a story, and the stories are from my grandmothers and their mothers before them, from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, not from 1948, right? So that's what counts for me a lot, and the recipes, but our stories are in there, and I want people to know it, and people connect to those stories because they have the same ones, and you feel less isolated.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen to you.
Speaking of theft, I want to read you something. Right. What shall I cook? This problem, the concern of housewives the world over, is particularly acute in our country, for the majority of the people cling tenaciously to the eating and cooking habits acquired by many generations in their respective countries. Skip, skip, skip. This is an unfortunate drawback which we must remove, and we housewives must take an attempt to free our kitchens from European customs which are not applicable to Palestine. We should wholeheartedly stand in favor of healthy Palestine cooking. We should foster these ideas not merely because we are compelled to do so, but because we realize that this will help us more than anything else in becoming acclimatized to our old new homeland.
I know this.
Now, this was an excerpt from a 1936 book called How to Cook in Palestine, brazen colonial book published by the Women's International Zionist Organization. one of the first Jewish cookbooks to be actually printed in Palestine during the British Mandate. And it presents food as nation building for settlers. It was aimed at primarily Jewish immigrant women from Nazi Germany, teaching them to sort of adapt their culinary habits to a new climate and a new environment.
Repeat.
Palestine, and urging them to sort of embrace healthy Palestine cooking, local produce rather than European staples. But of course, the cookbook does not acknowledge indigenous Palestinian culinary traditions or their creators. Essentially, cultural appropriation and erasure, both of Palestinians, under the guise of adaptation. And today you see them marketing everything, as you said, as Middle Eastern restaurants or Israeli food. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, repeat the year that was written.
1936.
And when did Israel get created? 1948. I mean, this thing, I don't even want to call it a state, this terror organization has been a long time in the making before it actually took life, right? People think it just happened overnight. That was in the 30s. And they were writing these books because they were preparing people, because they knew they were coming. They knew what they were going to do. Why would you write these things? They could have just met their neighbors and become friends with them and learn how to cook like we all do. And it is cultural appropriation. It is erasure. It is, and also, I've read that book and I've seen it and I've seen the recipes, and they talk about these foreign ingredients. I mean, zucchini is not so foreign, but it might be. But from Palestine, we know that it's not. The way that it's written is frightening, right? It's like indoctrinating them to be something that they're not. And even till now, they're not from that land. We have lots of people who are Jewish, who we know, who are against what's happening, who know that they don't come from that land, that they are Polish or Russian or whatever country they want to be from. But they know that that's not their roots. And then you have the Zionist ideology, which we have to kind of really emphasize a lot, because that's the nature of how this whole thing was built on this. And they use their religion to justify it when they're the most secular, non-God-fearing people. Because if you are, you wouldn't do what you're doing to people. And it doesn't mean you just have to not kill people. You can't erase a whole indigenous population by stealing their clothes and their music and their food and their language and their olive trees. And I read not even read, I saw something online about how they were planting all these trees that were not native to Palestine, and they set on fire because of the heat. They've been there now for what, 77 years, and they still don't know the land. They don't know how to tend to it. Palestinians are part of the roots and the soil of this earth, right? In
Yeah.
this area, and they know how to take care of it. The only thing that has happened with the Zionist movement now is that they've just shed so much blood. They've tainted this space with our bodies and our blood and our flesh and our humans, just to have this fictional life that doesn't exist. You can't wish your way or cook your way into being part of anything. You can try, and they're not succeeding.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very, very clear. I used to have a friend who was Israeli, but Iraqi, Yemeni, Arab, Jew, but suddenly he was Israeli when October 7th happened. And his posts became insane. And he was a chef. I mean, he still is a chef, but I saw his posts. We obviously never spoke after October 7th because he told me to die in Gaza. Um, and I saw his posts and
Horrible thing to say that.
yeah, but it's nothing to do with me. It's his insecurity, right? I would love to go and die in Gaza with everybody. I don't want to sit here watching this. But his posts became frantic and erratic and trying to really justify himself by saying, "Oh, Palestinians are angry with us because we cook it better, we make it better, we know how to make it, to monopolize it, we know how to take it out and export it and make it what they couldn't." Who says that that's what we wanted? Who says that we want to monopolize on our food and make money from it? We want just people to know what it is, and when they come to our country, they try the original food. Um, and the desperation in his voice. And then I just blocked his page because it was just infuriating me. That we do it better than Palestinians, and Palestinians don't even exist. This food didn't exist before us, him, yani. I'm like, right, so where did you get it from? It's such a vicious way that they just want to take everything by force. And they don't realize that we're not going anywhere. We are loud and we are proud and we are honored and we have history, we have ancestors, we have generations of this. And our grandparents didn't die for nothing, huh? They died giving our parents a very strong will and a backbone to teach us, and then us to teach other people what we're all about. And I think this is what the Israelis and the Zionists didn't bet on, that we would not stop.
Yeah.
And it's not just about keeping our food. It's ours, right? It can belong to Lebanon and Syria and Jordan, no problem.
Yeah.
But it doesn't belong to them. And that's the end of the story. I don't care what they think or what they say and how many beautiful restaurants they own. It's just not legitimate.
And we're the ones, especially now in the diaspora, you know, unable to return to our homeland. I mean, you get people claiming a 3,000-year-old right to go and settle the land, and we're the ones. I'm not, my parents, my family even did not even live in 48 or anything like that. I grew up in Gaza, and I already have this serious fear that I may not be able to ever return. You know, we don't know what's going to happen.
People
And
don't.
yet, I saw the other day a video of this Christian woman who was converting. It was a ceremonial video. She was converting to Judaism, and you know, a Christian white from the Western Hemisphere who has no roots in the land, no connection whatsoever. She converts to Judaism, and now she has the right to go live there, get a home, you know. And it's insane to me, you know, the I literally was just there. And, you know, your family and all of the Palestinians who come from there are not allowed to return. And by the way, the right of return of Palestinians is enshrined in international law. And yet, Israel has its own law of return, which stipulates that any Jew anywhere in the world, Jew or Jewish, so converts as well, can just go and live in Israel.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people who are not Palestinian, Arab, Christian, Muslim don't know this. They don't know that we're not allowed to go back. They don't know about this right of return, or that Jews can go and you can convert to Judaism and just be more welcome than a Palestinian whose roots are from there. And I think it's really, really important to keep reminding people, because they just think we don't. I just got a message from this English guy. He's like, I'm not Jewish, but why why don't you just go back to Gaza and fight instead of sitting on your sofa in London?
Yeah,
And
well, a lot of people are now
I,
trying with the Samud flotilla. Let them.
I didn't even reply to him, because it's like, do you think people want to be refugees or children of refugees living in a country they don't belong in and they don't want to be in? Who wants to live in a cold, miserable place where it's so expensive? You get crap vegetables and fruit, and meat is poisoned with, bacteria and I don't know what, antibiotics, when we could go back home and live in our land freely and beautifully and have community. They genuinely don't know what's happening. Yes, and I am sitting on my sofa and I am upset and frustrated, but that's where I can do it from. I can't go back. Um, Neither can you. And I think it's really, really important to keep reminding people, because they're just like, just go back home. I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to. You
yeah.
can see it. My dad is 81. I mean, he's been crying silently for decades, because he's never going to see home again. He saw it last when he was 3, 4, and he's never been allowed back. My mum also, they know they're going to die before they go home again. People don't realize that millions of Palestinians are suffering that you can't just buy a ticket like we go to Spain or France or Hong Kong. No, we have to get vetted and then checked and terrorized and assaulted and sexually assaulted, probably in airports, which are horror stories that I've heard from people, and then maybe sent back home, probably not even allowed to enter.
For me,
That's
even birthplace, in Gaza, that's
That's
a big red flag.
huge, and it's something that we need to keep emphasizing. Nobody wants to be somewhere else,
Yeah.
except for the Zionists who came from Europe. They want to be where we want to be. They're happy there because it's beautiful, and they've ruined it. And they think these high towers in Tel Aviv and all their pink washing of life and whatever makes them, current. They're just blood-stained hands everywhere you go. The fact that, we see all these demonstrations in Tel Aviv where they're all demonstrating, they're not demonstrating for the end of the war or the genocide. They're demonstrating for what, 6 hostages? And that's it. And they don't care about us. There are hundreds of thousands. I saw the other day, hundreds of thousands of people walking, marching. Not one said about Palestine. They were like, bring back the hostages, bring them home. 500,000 Palestinians have been killed for 1,000 people murdered, and 100 hostages. I mean, make that make sense. And I don't buy all that, demonstrating and whatever. If they don't have two ways about it, that save the hostages, sure, but stop the genocide. We don't have communication anymore. We know this is not about hostages. You know this. I know this. The whole world knows this. But honestly, there's so many things. I'm just about to explode. Uh,
Here in the UK, there have been demonstrations that are massive, consistent, very diverse. But the government in the UK has just hosted the Israeli president and concluded that there is no genocide in Gaza. How do you see this disconnect between the people and the state?
well, I mean, the people have a conscience and they have a heart and they have a moral compass. Our governments are just financially driven, probably also with some blackmail. I don't know. I ask this question to myself a lot of the time, like, what does Israel have on everybody? Because there's no way all the governments are not doing anything about it. Obviously, money is a massive tool behind why they're doing this, but there's got to be something else. It can't just be about money. And our prime minister is a disgrace. I felt so disgusted when I saw him shaking that monster's hand. And we also forget about the other guy, Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak, yeah.
He was the main one. He's now gone off scot-free. Everyone forgot about him because Keir Starmer's taken over. But these two are the same. It's 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 frightening. You're the government of a country. Your responsibility is your people and what they're saying. And we've seen this 2 years in a row, pretty much every Saturday and every weekday at some point at Downing Street.
Yeah.
These are not invisible people. They're making a lot of noise. They're making their voices heard. And it's not just being there on the ground, it's on all of social media. They
Yeah.
can't look away much longer, but they're choosing to go against everything that their people are saying. We, not just Palestinians, you've been on the demonstrations. It's not just Arabs, they're every type of person from all walks of life. And I cannot believe till now that they literally just said that they do not think that there's a genocide when all the genocide scholars globally have said it. We don't need scholars to tell people there's a genocide, but now they've all come into agreement, and some of them are Jewish and some of them are not. You've got you've got millions of people constantly talking, posting, sharing things, and our government is literally supplying the weapons to kill our people, and then we have to pay tax and we have to pay all these bills, and our tax money is killing our people. There's
And
such
not only that, they're actually criminalizing the actual people, calling for an end to the killing, calling for, saving the children. They're being criminalized, and smeared. So do you feel like any of this is working? The solidarity and the mobilization. Are we actually shifting anything when the houses of power is so stubborn and complicit.
I don't think we're shifting anything governmentally, no, but I think we're shifting the minds of people. And I sounds horrible to say, horrible and disgusting, but all our Palestinian brothers and sisters and friends who have been killed did not die in vain, right? They they opened this floodgate to allow the rest of the world to see what we see Israel as and what we have known it to be and what it always will be and what it will never change. It will just get worse. It's a wild beast. And all the deaths, whether they want to say it's 50,000 for the last 2 years or 500,000, quoting from the Lancet Journal and other independent bodies, they did not die in vain, but they did have to die for people globally to see
And
what.
isn't that such a sad state of affairs that
It's disgusting what I'm going to
people's eyes are only open when there is such a basically genocide?
say.
Genocide. It takes a genocide for people to notice
Yeah,
because if you really think about it, since 1948, this has been happening in Palestine and a slow grinding.
it's just micro movements, but now they just amplified it. And it had to happen. And it should never have, because these people did not deserve to die like this. They did nobody, not even them. They don't deserve to die like this. I've been seeing a lot of people that I always hoped would say something, and they never did until now, in the last year, 2 years. And it saddened, and that's when I had this realization that all of our people had to die, had to, not anything else. They had to die for people to see what Israel was about. Whether they will be stopped, that's another question. I can't answer it, neither can you. I mean, it doesn't seem like they can be. They're bombing everywhere. They bombed Qatar, they bombed Yemen, they bombed Tunisia, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Palestine. And we're all at fault. They are not. They're allowed to defend themselves from who? If there's a common denominator, usually that thing is the one that is the problem, right? Um, and I don't think, like, Banksy, the artist, he's incredible artwork all over London about every type of injustice there is. No one's ever painted over him or scrubbed his artwork off or wanted to hunt him down.
All of
As
a sudden, when it comes to
something
Gaza.
about Palestine, and whoa, the whole world, everybody went crazy. How can he do this? Well, I mean, what makes Palestine so different to everything else? I mean, this is the thing we have to ask ourselves, like, what is it that every government globally, that Israel has got on these governments globally, that is making this subject so sore and so difficult for anyone to allow to address it, right? We know they're supplying weapons, boring. Next, what is it that is making our governments hunt artists down, arrest blind people in wheelchairs and put them in prison, old women, retired doctors, retired police officers, just watching this sort of criminality come into effect against innocent civilians who are against terror and murder doesn't make sense. I can't even remember her name now. The lady in government who actually made it that Palestine Action are a terrorist organization. She got paid what, over £280,000 in the last year by Israel and their lobby. Of course, she's going to criminalize them. And people are so scared to still upset Jewish people. I don't care. We've gone past that point. If they can massacre hundreds of thousands of people without a blink of an eye, I have no
But the problem is people always conflate, they deliberately make that conflation between Jews and Zionists because they make it out that all Zionists are, sorry, all Jews essentially are Zionists. So if you say anything about Israelis or Zionists, you're essentially talking about all Jews. I
yeah.
think it's a deliberate conflation of that identity because we know that there are a lot of Jewish people that do not agree with what Israel is doing. And they are, some of the loudest voices that I've seen recently have been Jewish, but equally, they're not being recognized as Jewish. They're suddenly being kind of shoved to the side. No, you don't know.
it doesn't work for me. And to be honest with you, if someone gets upset with me, I really don't care. I'm more upset about people's arms being blown off and babies without heads to care that some person who might be Jewish might be annoyed with me. Really not on the top of my priorities right now. And if people get upset, they get upset. We're not here to hold everybody's hand in this situation. We are barely keeping ourselves together. You asked me, how are you? I'm not all right. I'm crying all the time. I'm screaming into pillows. I'm walking, and thank God it rains all the time because it hides my tears. When I'm walking in the street, I'm erratic. I've lost so much weight. I can't eat. I have acid reflux. I'm stressed. My heart is thumping. We're not even there. Imagine we're all feeling this here. What are they feeling over there?
Yeah.
And I speak to, I'm sure your family, I hope everyone is safe. I don't know. We're speaking to people in Gaza, family, friends, people that we know, we care about. They call every day. And you know what they do? How are you? How am I? How's your dad? Is he still okay? Is he better? Is he out of hospital? I'm like, hold on, how are you? He's like, no, 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 no. Tell me first about your dad. I want to know first. And I'm just like, what are we made of? What are these people made of? They're amazing. 2, 3 days ago, 8 Israelis were killed on a bus. It was all over. We knew their names, we knew who they were, we knew what they did, and they were so nice and kind, lovely people. When did one Palestinian, name me one in 2 years, was given a name, except for little Hind Rajab? And also, when they spoke about her, they said young woman, young girl. She was a child. She was shot 355 times. They never said how cute she was and how loving she was, and her family loved her, and she was amazing, and she was good at school. They didn't say anything. And we know everything about these 8 Israelis who died, who shouldn't have been killed, right? We don't want anyone to die. But why are they more important for us to know all their details when nobody wants to know about us? We've been left out and isolated in the media. And it's come to that point where we don't care anymore what happens to anyone else. It's about us. It's the survival of the fittest now. We have to see what we can do to keep talking, naming people. When they killed all the journalists, they didn't even name one of them. Just she was an independent reporter. So what's her name? She worked for you. You can't eradicate things like this. These people mean something. We mean something to each other. We love each other. And this whole kind of dehumanization is not acceptable. And I think that's basically what it's come. We've become the animals. And I think it's time for us to take this narrative back.
We ran into a technical error, so I had to catch up with Joudie again to finish our conversation, and this is part 2. So just to carry on with our conversation, I wanted to ask you about the Samud flotilla. It's now sailing to Gaza. This time around, or since the genocide began in October, there have been a few attempts to sail to Gaza, but obviously the boats have been stopped and the crew members have been taken and later released. So what are we expecting with the Samud flotilla?
Honestly, more of the same. I think Israel has just gone rogue. I mean, it is rogue. It's not gone rogue. I don't think anything will stop them. They killed so many people and were not held accountable for anything. And I think the same will happen now. They've just been behaving with complete impunity, not actually caring about any government globally, because no government has actually stopped them or held them accountable for their citizens being injured or harmed. So I'm so happy that this is happening, and I'm so distressed that it's taken like a community of people who are not governmentally inclined or from that part of our system to take it amongst themselves to do something that our government should have done with military force. And they're going there unarmed, equipped with baby formula, medication, and things that are really, really required by the people in Gaza. So I think we'll just be seeing Israel doing what it knows how to do best, which is destroy, terrorize, and cause panic and fear, and ultimately stopping them from getting to where they're going.
I mean, we can only hope for their safety.
The world. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care about safety, nor their own.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care about them and they don't care about us. So,
Speaking of accountability, the UN has just published a report that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. I believe this is the first time it's actually been published as a conclusion by a formal body, shall we say. Do you think it's going to make any difference at all?
no, no. The UN is a joke. I mean, firstly, we don't need scholars to tell us what we can see live on our screen. Number one, we don't need the UN to wait until 680,000, if not more, Palestinians have been slaughtered for them to call it what a genocide is. What's the number for genocide? Is it 500, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000? I think the fact that it's gotten to this point and now they're saying something, it's an embarrassment to humanity, right? It's a stain on humanity that that amount of people were massacred in the most inhumane ways. And yesterday I saw a little girl, her insides were out. She's dying live on screen. There's no way to survive that. That's not the first time that's happened, and it's not the last. And watching things like this, that's genocide. Whether one person was killed or 680,000, if that is the manner in which someone dies, then, and no one says anything about it, the world we live in is completely broken, and we know that it is. And now, Sadiq Khan came out saying it's a genocide. People are turning only because they're trying to backtrack on themselves, because I know that they know that history will not be kind to them. It's too late to be on the right side and say something. They should have said something 2 years ago. We all knew where this was going to head. Israel is fighting people in flip-flops, with the jets and the quadcopters and the tactics that they use. It's too late to try to erase your silence, right? Yesterday, I think Mehdi Hassan, yeah, was talking about you can't bomb your way out of silence or complicity or something like that. I'm paraphrasing because I saw so many things yesterday, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to see that our lives and our blood is worth so little, and that so many people had to lose their lives for someone to say something. And the UN, for me, is an irrelevant body. Yes, they said it, but it's too late. Too many people have died. It didn't have to be that way.
Israel keeps on talking about its right to exist and its right to be recognized, and yet at the same time, simultaneously, it's not only erasing Palestinians, but it's completely denying that they exist as a people. Who are the Palestinians to you? What image do you want the people to see or know of Palestinians as you know them, being Palestinian yourself?
I never look at us in a way of pity, right? I feel devastated seeing what's happening to us, but I know from being Palestinian and growing up Palestinian in a home with Palestinian parents and our history and our roots, that we are the most resilient people. We shouldn't have to be, but we are, under the circumstances that we have been forced to live in. I'm in London, but we're talking about Palestinians in the whole of occupied Palestine. That they are determined, that they will fight to the death for their right to be where they are historically aligned to. They are powerful without even realizing it. The things that we've seen online when a woman is burying her children and her husband and she's saying thank you, she's saying alhamdulillah. For me, I called my mom to ask her, how can she say that? She's like, because they're in a better place, right? And this is their fate, whether it was brought on by a genocide or not. It's better for them where they are, and she knows that. and the faith, the unwavering faith, right? I think most people would stop believing, seeing what they're seeing. For me, I'm sort of been on the edge of faith and God because I'm so angry. And then when I watch these things, in moments, I'm like, where is God? And then I see them and I'm like, they represent what religion and faith is in the darkest moments. And it makes me more faithful and religious. And I didn't think that that would be the case. I thought I would just go the other way. And they are empathetic and kind and generous and strong and deep rooted. And I think that Palestinians teach other people life, right? That they are under the most heinous conditions, and yet they still have a moment to take out and ask us how we are and try to make our pain less, even though our pain is for them. They don't want pity. They want support and solidarity and campaigning and boycotting and their voices to be heard. One friend of mine, I posted about it on Instagram, told me, please, I apologize for calling you all the time. And I said, there's no problem, of course. And he said, I just want someone to remember me because everybody that he knows is dead. And it's little things, they're so huge. They hurt so much because that's the reality. Like, they don't have anyone there to help them. And our voices, as much as we think that they mean nothing, they're going into a void, they actually help something. I don't know what yet. It will happen eventually. But for me, Palestinians just embody love and commitment to surviving what they have been put under for 8 decades and more. And, you know, I think the way that we've been portrayed is that we're like a thorn in the side of Israel and the Western world, when in fact we are the rose and they are the thorn. And people are starting to realize that, and realizing that in the massacres that there is beauty in Palestinians and what they are fighting for, and they are losing their lives at an astronomical rate for the freedom, not just of Palestinians, but a global freedom of being suffocated and indoctrinated by Israel and the Western governments. And it's enough. And the world has opened their eyes at the cost of 680,000 Palestinians and more. I'm sure it's more than that, but we'll stick with that number. It's better than 50,000 that they've been saying for 2 years. And I'm so proud to be a Palestinian. I'm so proud. I never really knew what it was, not just because of what's happening, of course, but before 20 years, I just thought I was an Arab. And I'm not. I don't consider myself an Arab after what the Arab world did to us or didn't do for us. I am not an Arab. I'm a Palestinian. And I'm so proud. And I think everybody else that I know who is feels the same way. And all our friends who are not Palestinians tell us they wish they were, because they've never seen anything like us. I'm not talking about me, us. I'm talking about us as Palestinians in occupied Palestine. And it makes my heart burst, you know, to hear that, because it's not a fashion. It's a way of life. And I think we've broken this mask that Israel has been hiding under or behind for such a long time, and people can finally see who we are and what we've been going through. Yeah.
One message to Gaza.
We're with you till the last breath. We're there all the way. And it might seem like it's not working, but something is happening. And just to have faith and patience that Palestine will be free. And we are all waiting for that day, and it's coming sooner than we think. But we're there, behind them, next to them, all the time.
Joudie, thank you for joining me. And on this note, we'll conclude. And thank you for joining again, should I say. And hopefully I will see you in a free Palestine.
Inshallah, I hope so. I can't wait. I can feel it. Can you?
I can't but feel it.
Yeah.
I can't go on with any other prospect.
Yeah. And I think that's what keeps us the way we are, is that we will always have hope. You know, I just to end one thing, I was reading something the other day. This woman posted, and she said something along, again, I'm paraphrasing because I can't find the post that I screenshot. She was saying that Israelis or Zionists, they forced everything. They forced, you know, our culture. They've stolen, forced as in taken our culture, our music, our clothing, our land, our everything. And it all comes down to wanting to be something that they can never be, which is indigenous and rooted to that land. And you can force and steal as much as you like, but you will never, ever fit in. And this is why this is all happening. You know, the bloodshed, the murder, the slaughter. It's a I say jealousy of not fitting anywhere. They didn't fit where they belonged because they were getting slaughtered there. They came to our country, took over, try to do the same to us by trying to eradicate and erase us. And it's that thing of wanting to belong somewhere where you don't belong. And they know that they don't, because you wouldn't behave like this otherwise. And, you know, everything that Palestinians have and are is part of their breath and their soul. And they can't take that away. And this is why after 80 years, they haven't managed to delete us off that land yet, and we have nothing we're fighting with. So I have faith that our men and women in flip-flops and stones can eventually take back what is rightfully theirs and live freely, and I will see you there one day walking. Thank you.
Thank you, Joudie.
Bye.
لأني ولدت فلسطينيا، لأن جذوري في عمق الدهور، لأني ولدت عربيا، وأني في القدس من فجر العصور، أموت كل يوم، أموت كل يوم. القدس لنا دوما، القدس لن تموت، القدس في القلوب، القدس لن تموت.